All right, here we go. Welcome to another live episode. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite cinematographers, Roger Deakins. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about how his lighting influences the video editing or the actual editing, in this case, of the film, and how it kind of coincides together. So we're gonna choose a scene from No Country for Old Men. I'm sure you guys are familiar with by the Coen Brothers, and the specific scene where the hitman is going against the main character of the film, Llewelyn Moss and Anton. I don't know how to say his last name. Movie came out in 2007, so we're gonna focus on that specific scene. Now, this might be the quietest action scene ever shot. There's no score. There's no handheld chaos, none of that shakiness. It's just light, shadow, and silence. Um, and this movie, Roger Deakins proves that light can build more tension than any edit or any sound effect. So, the, this is a pretty violent movie, but Roger Deakins doesn't light violence. He illuminates fear. I like that. So we're going to talk about point number one. We're going to talk about this scene right here, as you can see up on the screen. And the only visible light source is, as you're going to see, it's going to be, he's in a hotel room right now. It's going to be the lamp right beside him. And this light coming from what would be, if you're looking into the door from the hallway into the room, right? And everything else is just darkness. And the light is almost like the only symbol of safety. It almost kind of acts like a fragile barrier of life and death, but I'll show you exactly what I mean. Um, okay, so let me go ahead and start looking at it. And so if you look at that, let's stop it right there. It's just silence. You could almost already, even without me explaining you the plot, you could already see what's going on. So right here, the lamp is lighting um, his left side, and it's almost like behind him, the street light is actually lighting the curtains. Um, let's see what else. As you guys are already familiar with Roger Deakins' work, there's no fill, no soft bounce. It's just there's just pure blackness, infinite. Um, and you're almost like in, you almost don't know or curious about what's missing, but it's not even important because that's what builds the tension in the scene. Um, remember, he's just total darkness stepping in there. And I want you to kind of look at like the instant the light dies, there's a visual heartbeat stopping. So it's almost like cutting in that. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. All right. I wanted you guys to notice that. Fantastic. Now let's talk about how video editor you're supposed to cut on motion. Light changes. So every time there's a muzzle flash or something within the light, that's when they're cutting. The motion, the movement, it's the actual light. Um, Pacing feels a little bit slow, long static shots. Uh, Burst of light, and light becomes like an edit cue, and that's what I could use it into your. It's just kind of like the visual contrast is what it's almost taking that sound away. And if you hear, there's no music, there's no hyping up to it. It's none of that. No sound effects. Okay. And yeah, they don't cut on motion, they cut on light. So just take into that. All right. So let's look at this part right here. So he jumped out of the hotel room. Um, the hitman's foul and he stops a car, trying to get some help.
Don't worry, I ain't gonna hurt you. Need you to drive me on out of here.
I hope that doesn't. I hope you can show that on YouTube. Every time. So every time there's there's no music, no stylized color, just natural tungsten tones, and that's like, more of the street light. Um, Things like that, using reflections, purely Roger Deakins style. Um, yeah, so when the gunfire erupts, the light bursts it almost feels like precise, like it feels shocking because everything before was like super still. So it's like long, still long shots, no sound, followed by like a quick break in light because of the muzzle flash or something that has to do with the light. Um, yeah, so it's fantastic. There's contrast before and then after the gunshot, and then if you notice the highlight of how silence and darkness feels from the emotional echo, right? So fear lives in what's left unlit and uncut. So that's why they carry out these long sequences, and a lot of darkness shot at nighttime. And I know there's a lot of social media short form. You got to constantly get somebody's attention, but if you want to evoke a certain emotion, this is where it's at. Um, that's pretty much it. I just really wanted to highlight that. I know you always hear these certain rules like cutting on motion, but you don't have to do that. You could light it very well using practical lighting and have that be what drives the emotion. Um, Roger Deakins shows us that tension isn't built in post; it's built in the light. Um, and it's almost like the cinematography already has its rhythm. The editing is what becomes it. So yeah, I advise you if you guys haven't watched the movie, watch it. Rewatch this scene specifically and notice and count how many cuts, and you'll realize that every edit is like a breath inside the shadows. Um, Lighting isn't about brightness; it's about the timing. All right, so I just wanted to mention that and just kind of show that because I know a lot of people. I've mentioned this movie and they don't even know what I'm talking about. So we're just gonna end it there. I appreciate everybody who always watches and sees these breakdowns and is always right there with me. I appreciate it.